Because we sold that house again, by the way. We sold it for $18 million, and then we sold it again for $34 million 14 months later, making our client $14 million in 14 months.
That is insane.
Okay, thank you so much for checking in. This is episode 2 of season 2. My name is Nile Lundgren. I'm with Samantha Germano, and we have a special guest with us today, Scotty Porter from the Lundgren Team Miami. We're going to talk about that in 1 second, but first, as you come to our channel, it's very important that you hit the like button, that you subscribe, that you mash that notification bell, because we're dropping the newest content, the hottest content every single week to your doorstep. Thank you to Samantha Germano for making that happen. And we are going to get into our 10 minutes of fun. Sam, do you want to lead us off here?
Absolutely, I do. Well, welcome, Scott.
Thank you for having me.
Scotty Porter.
What's up?
What's up, doggy?
So you're in New York City.
I'm in New York City.
Welcome.
Thank
When was the
you.
last time you were here?
Holy cow. Probably like February, March, honestly.
Oh, okay. So it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the Hamptons a few times over the summer, but New York City, not so much.
Okay. While you're here, we want to hear what's happening down in South Florida,
Absolutely.
because you cover a lot of ground there. There's actually been a lot of like celebrity stuff that's been happening down there too.
Tremendous amount.
I think the biggest story that has hit headlines is Jeff Bezos. He
Yeah.
just bought a $68 million mansion on Billionaire Bunker. Scott, for people who don't know what Billionaire Bunker is, please enlighten us.
Billionaire Bunker, that's known as, it is Indian Creek Island, and it's a private gated community. I'm pretty sure there's 45 homes. They're all large lots, like 1 acre, 2 acre lots. There's a private 18-hole golf course, and there's a private police force. You can't get on this island. I got a funny story about a client that we tried to go one time, and I said, I'm not being involved in that.
Yeah.
But you can't get on this island without approval. Like Jeff Bezos lives there. Carl Icahn lives there.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady lives there. Jeff Sophie lives there. Jared and Ivanka live there.
Adriana Lima.
She sold her house actually 2 years ago.
Oh, thank you.
She sold her house 2
Good
years
thing we
ago.
have you here.
Norman Brayman lives there. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Jeff Bezos just bought there. I think that kind of illustrates everything you need to know about the island.
Yes. So this latest purchase adds to his $500 million real estate portfolio.
That's it? You would think, I mean, that's probably that's what's disclosed. I'm sure it's a lot more than that.
Yes,
I'm sure.
yeah. But what's interesting is that he bought it, the home was built in 1965.
Yeah.
Expanded in 1985,
Yeah.
and he plans to bulldoze the entire thing.
Absolutely. That's
and
the
just
play.
make it a Jeff Bezos compound.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting sale. I mean, $68 million is obviously a lot of money, but I think it's on par for what the island is. I mean, it's a large lot. It probably has the best views. I would have liked to see him a little bit more south, to be honest with you, because you kind of get the sunset over Brickell and Miami and all these things. So he's facing directly west, which is great. But I mean, he bought a great lot. There's huge frontage. He can put, I don't know. I think his sailboat's like 500 feet. I don't think it'll fit there. But I think like one of his yachts could fit there. I mean, it'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
Miami. Wow.
It's a great sale for Miami.
Yes.
There's a couple other really good
Yep.
ones.
Yeah.
More Miami proper on those islands. Star, Venetian, Sunsets. Which one?
Absolutely. Okay, so Jonas and Sophie Turner sold their
Yeah.
Miami mansion for $15 million.
Yeah, I can't believe that they were able to achieve $15 million.
Why?
That's a large sale for the area. I actually showed a house. We were negotiating on it. It actually just ended up selling for like 11 and change. And I was doing the math in my head. And that basically sold for like 2,000 a foot, and Joe Jonas's and Sophie Turner's house sold for like 1,500 a foot. So it's 15 million on like 10,500 feet. So I guess it makes sense. I mean, people like the celebrity like aspect to it. I think that's kind of cool.
Right.
I think the house was like really unique on the inside. It was like not like a typical like modern Miami box. So people probably like that.
Yeah.
And then the neighborhood, which is I'm sure why they bought there originally, just like where Jeff Bezos bought, obviously, 15 versus 68 is a big deal, but super gated, super private. You cannot get in there. Like that's why I showed one of the clients that we both know in there purposely, because like you can't enter this neighborhood. And there's a lot of gated islands in Miami, but really the one where Jeff Bezos bought and this one, Bay Point, are like the only real places besides like Coral Gables, but that's different, that there's a gate, but like, on Sunset Island,
You just show your ID.
the gate just
and you
opens
just
up.
walk
It's not
in.
you're in a nice car.
Yeah.
They let you in. It's not a big deal. These places you cannot get in, and that's a luxury in Miami. You can't
absolutely.
find that. So
Secure.
very.
High-end security, like you pull in and no one knows that, no one sees you getting out or getting into your car.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, third one. Rick Ross purchased a $37 million mega mansion.
Roast.
Yo,
The boast.
I don't want to get into like an argument with Rick Ross, God forbid, but like that's a lot of money. That is a lot of
He
coin,
coined
man.
it. This is the missing piece of the puzzle to his real estate portfolio
saw
because
that
he just
article.
bought something in Austin.
He
Or
owns
Texas?
the biggest
He owns
pool in like America,
In the Promised Land.
in
It was-
Atlanta.
I think it was
Atlanta.
Evan Holyfielder's
Or Evander
ex-house.
Holyfield, yeah.
But I was thinking about. $35 million is a lot of. That's a lot.
First of all, the taxes you got to think about. What's the tax on that? So if it's 45,
it's 2%. So
2% in Florida, 2% of the purchase price is your tax bill annually.
So we're talking 10% is $3.5 million. Half of that is $175.
So
we're
$1
talking
million in
1.2 a year. No, we're
taxes
talking 1.2 a year. Just like the house in Key Biscayne, 1.2 million a year if you were to
Wow.
buy it for 35. I wouldn't have bought that house. Again, I'm not Rick Ross. I'm not Jeff Bezos. It's facing the wrong direction.
Okay.
Obviously, it's on Star
facing
Island.
southeast, right?
It's
Like,
facing like due east, but on the contrary, if you look at the west side of the island, which is like west side in Miami, west exposure gets Sunset, which is much
arguably
more
better, more expensive.
everything. But if you go on the other side, it's Ken Griffin, it's P Diddy, and it's Stuart Miller, the owner of Lennar, the CEO of Lennar. So I mean, and then it's Philip Frost. I mean, you can't really get in there because those guys aren't selling; they don't need to sell.
Right.
So it makes sense if you want to be on Star Island. This is what you have to buy because
Right.
that's it. It's all.
It's also east facing. It's right next to Governor's Cut, so you
Yeah.
could literally just be out
No,
in
it's
the
great. If he
Atlantic. You
puts
want
a
to go to
yacht-
Bimini, the Bahamas.
Yeah,
no
everything.
problem from
Yeah.
that location.
Great. I'm really happy for the guy. It's I didn't. That's a lot.
We should hang out with him. We should roll up on the boat and be like, "Yo, you trying to wake surf?
for sure.
You trying to wake surf, bro?
Are you trying to wake surf, Rick? Come on, let's go, buddy.
Just bring the wing stop. I got it.
Yeah,
Don't
come
worry.
on, we'll teach you. Come on, let's go.
Let's talk about the Hamptons. Tom Ford bought a $52 million mansion in East Hampton. Now, there's some significance to this home.
Okay, tell us. Yeah.
It's the Arts and Crafts Mansion, which is otherwise known as Lasada. It was the home of Jackie Kennedy, where she spent her childhood summers
Wow.
in East Hampton.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, it's very nice. So what was the purchase price again?
52.
$52 million.
52. Wow. Tom Ford must be doing really well.
Yeah.
He sold for like 1.5, I think, a few
Yes.
years ago. He
Yep.
sold for like 1.5, like 2 or 3 years ago.
He's putting his money
But
to good use.
it'll be interesting knowing where that is in the Hamptons. He did a record breaking sale in Palm Beach last winter. I
Yep.
don't know if you guys remember that. He paid $52 million for a dry house, which is like
Wow.
insane. But then he ended up actually trading up with another guy. So they swapped properties. How the deal actually worked out, I'm not really sure. So he went from a dry house with no water to that was a super modern house, new build. Then he went to like a more traditional Spanish Mediterranean on the water. So he traded up.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm sure Tom Ford likes the idea it's Jackie's house, but it'll be interesting to see if he like leverages what he does with that. Because I mean, $52 million not on the water. I mean, I like the water.
Right,
Yeah,
me too,
yeah.
me
I
too.
don't
And
know,
why
man.
don't you just describe for our audience out there
Yeah.
what the difference between a wet house is and a dry house, because that's something you use a lot in Florida.
Yeah.
Also is applicable in the Hamptons,
Yeah.
but you have a really good explanation for it.
It's basically dry is you have no water on all sides of the property, and wet is you have water frontage of some point. And I mean, in Miami, we do comparable reports, basically just how much water frontage you're getting, right? Because 50 feet of water frontage versus 75 versus 100 is different. Because in Miami specifically, when you have a boat in your backyard, you have to have 10 feet. I think it's like 7 feet on each side.
Right.
So you can't have a 100-foot yacht on 100 feet of water.
Right.
You got to have 120.
Right.
I mean, you could get an encroachment with your neighbor, but that's why you call us and we'll figure that out
Yeah,
for you.
yeah,
But like, let's just go with that
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
Thank
okay.
you.
That's all for celebrity news. Now let's talk about something that was interesting that happened last week in the New York City rental market.
Oh, wow. Rentals. Yeah,
Rental
let's
market.
talk about it.
People are optimistic because we may have hit a peak for the insane rental market prices that we've been seeing. I think like there was a report that came out last week that median rent was $5,600 or something like that, or just under. So people are optimistic because last month, July, Number of signed leases decreased 3% in Manhattan and then 27% in Brooklyn. So people are getting excited. And then the year-over-year annual increase in rental prices in Manhattan was the lowest it's been since September of 2021.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to cool off at some point.
Absolutely.
I mean,
but now we have cold, hard facts to back it up.
Since COVID, it's just been up and up and up and up. And there becomes a point where it's like, look, I have an exclusive building at the Lewis Steel building. We were renting 2 beds there. When I took over 6 or 7 years ago, $3,600. They're going for $5,000 right now. And there's been steadily increases over the years, but it went from like 4,000 COVID to like 5,000, which is a lot. And it's like, is it going to keep going to 6,000? And maybe, but I always thought like this bubble has got to like not burst, but at least like
come down.
Slow down at least. So to hear it slowing down, it actually makes a lot of sense because we had a deal uptown, the one on Fifth Avenue, and we actually had a situation with the board. It didn't go through, so we had to put it back on the market. So we put it on the market, one open house, rented, didn't work with the board, whatever. We had to put it back on the market. It's still on the market. It's like 6 weeks later, and it's the middle of the summer, which is not characteristically what we see in the summertime. So I think that kind of like backs up what we've been seeing.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting fall because when you have that lack of inventory, especially in a high seasonality market like the summertime, that tells me that with interest rates in the guidance that it's not going to go up, that tells me that there's probably going to be a flurry of activity on the sales side.
Yeah.
This fall.
So what I actually find interesting is that I looked at some reports of what was happening in the resale market the same weeks as like July going into August for the rental, for like the lease signed weeks.
Right.
And there was an increase in signed contracts in Manhattan and Brooklyn those same weeks that we saw drops in signed leases. Now, people could just be re-signing their lease or moving to other areas like New Jersey, and we're not capturing that data. But I do think it's interesting that there was like this inverse correlation. And I feel like we may be getting a lot of first-time homebuyers in the market. Personally, that's what I've been seeing. So I feel like these numbers that are trending are interesting, that they're happening at the same time.
I hope so. I also think that, first-time homebuyers or not, one main point that real estate agents can be doing, we spoke about this today at our team meeting, is asking all of our sellers if their mortgage is assignable, because it's very hard for new buyers to come in and get it qualified for an 8% loan. Yep. But if they have a loan that they can assume by the current seller, it makes it a lot easier. The qualifications aren't that big. They can also take a lower rate. So it's a really creative way to do it. Scotty and I are working on a deal right now down in Miami, doing the exact same thing where we have a listing. It's a penthouse. Obviously, it's a penthouse. That's all we sell. So it's a penthouse. It's a penthouse. They want to buy it. Rate's high. He's going to put some money down. We're going to assume the mortgage. And there's going to be a leaseback scenario and yada, yada, yada. We'll close it in a couple months.
That's how we get it done in a difficult environment.
Yeah.
There's always a way to get the deal done.
You got to get creative.
Yeah, you got to navigate.
Anything interesting that happened to you last week?
Last week, every week for me is really exciting. I think for me personally, I gave a mandate for the team, which was the idea of proactive versus reactive. And not only did I just say, hey, it's important to be proactive, not reactive, but I also demonstrated to some of the agents on the team what being proactive really looks like. And it was a lot to take for a lot of people because I'm calling you every 30 seconds. But at the end of the day, like that's what you need to learn how to do in this business is be super proactive, not only with the other teammates that you're working with, but also the clients so that they know that you're thinking about them and that you are thinking about them in a thoughtful way. So there's been countless times last week for me where I was very, very proactive and startlingly so to the agents. They were like, whoa. And I'm like, this is what it means. And if you want to really level up, you have to be excellent at following back. Well, following through, following up, and then following back. Like Ryan says, the 4, 3, 3, 4, 4, 3, 3, 4 Fs, 3 Fs, 3, niner. So it's okay. We just went in left field. Do you have anything to say about that?
Following up?
Yeah.
I mean, follow up as much as you possibly can without annoying them. That's the thing. You have to add value to the follow up. Like, like you can't just call someone and be like, hey, what's going on? You know, actually, I watched a video because I watch my Ryan Serhant videos in the morning when I get ready for work. You know, because he comes out with content every single 10 minutes, basically. And he came out with one the other day, and what did it say? It said something to the tune of like adding the value, but not only that, like asking people like, what do they think too? So it's like it's kind of like pivotal to like get into like a scenario and figure out like if the buyer is like or the seller, whatever, is actually going to make a move because then you have to prioritize your time, right?
Right.
Yes.
So like what he said, I thought was interesting. It was just to like man up, no offense to females, women up, man up, you know, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And basically be like, hey, what do you think? You know, what are your thoughts on this? Are you going to, you know, do you want to list this? Do you want to buy this? What do you want to do? And I actually implemented that like with a few clients that were kind of just like hanging around. Like one was like a bigger renter. One was like one that I want to list. And I'm like really surprised, you know, at the reactions. So like a follow up. I wasn't getting anywhere. And I was like, hey, what do you think about this? You know,
it's when you start asking questions that I feel like you're able to get the information to allow you to take the best next steps possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. But I also enjoy like the follow up leading like into that because my style isn't like such a high pressure. Like I like to be a little bit more relaxed, like, you know, a friend like that. So, you know, follow up. Hey, how's it going? I read some book the other day. It was about Rockefeller. And he said his Rolodex, every time he spoke to someone in his Rolodex, he would write down like, the kid joined soccer or they went to things. So now I've been doing that as well. Right. So like putting that together with Ryan's thing of like being, you know, hey, what's going on? It's like, hey, how is, you know, your kid going to college? Everyone's going to college right now. And be like, hey, so do you want to rent this apartment or no? And if they say no, okay, no worries. I'll follow up in 6 months. I'll follow up in 3 months. I'll follow up next quarter.
Right. And
then I can prioritize my time somewhere else where instead just doing nothing is,
you don't know.
That's it. I'm done. That's it. It's dead.
I'm happy you brought this up because I've actually done this once. I had a client, this was like a few years ago, and we toured a few properties together and I couldn't get them to respond to my emails after that. I was probably ghosted. I knew that this client was an interior designer. I knew that I looked up the name of the company. They had recently come out with like a feature on Elle Decor. I emailed her just congratulating her for her feature. Didn't mention anything about real estate. They responded to me 5 minutes later. Said, let's hop on a Zoom tomorrow at 12 o'clock. I said, done.
Literally have like the same exact story. I showed a penthouse. No pun intended. I swear to God.
I told you.
We only sell penthouses.
He wanted a lot of outdoor space.
Yeah.
We show him the penthouse. It was pre-construction, and the deal didn't go anywhere. Like we tried, it didn't work out. Whatever. Ghosted, the same sort of thing. Hey, I'm going to this party. Do you want to? What? Just trying to figure it out. 0, 0, 0, 0. I saw he ended up buying a house that he was in. It was being built, so it took like 3 years to close. Then he closed. Texted him, hey, congratulations! I saw the Real Deal article or the Business Journal, whatever. 2 seconds. Thank you so much. How's everything going? Do you have any? Do you have any units that I would like?
Yeah.
Just like that. So I literally couldn't agree more.
It's amazing what happens when you take like the focus of the conversation off of real estate and just develop a relationship with them.
Yeah, be a human.
100%.
You know, it's like no one likes the sweaty real estate agent who's like, are we going to sell something together? Are we going to buy? Could you buy right now? It's like, whoa.
No.
Yeah. You want to buy? Great. We'll help you out. You want to sell? Even better. We got you. If not, that's cool too.
I've also emailed clients when the company that they work for went public and then like tied it back. Like, by the way, do you want to see like X, Y, and Z tomorrow? Like,
I'm sure you do. You probably just made a lot of money.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I love that. I've also, I don't know how you guys feel about Chris Voss. He's a former FBI investigator. He has a technique called the don't give up or the have you given up. Anytime a client ghosts you, he uses a line saying, have you given up on X, Y, and Z? Have you given up on your home search?
Because nobody likes to give up.
Exactly. More people are inclined to respond and defend they haven't given up or just give you an explanation or response. What were you going to say, Scott?
You wrote that book. Are you talking about he wrote?
Yes. Never split the difference.
It's never split the difference. Yeah.
Chris Schember is good friends with him too. You know, my buddy Schember.
Yeah.
He's like had him. Yeah. He knows him really well.
I love it. Yeah. No, I've read that. I read that book a few times.
And I've used that line too before and it's worked. Okay. Scott and Nile. Let's talk about how you guys met.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. Take us back back to when Nile had hair.
I met, was it post hair?
No, it was post hair for sure.
Thank God. Because I just really am trying to like erase that whole like, kind of balding moment in my life. I'm sick of it, Mr. Clean. Okay, so we met down on Sunset Island 2, wake surfing.
Yeah, with our mutual friend.
Okay.
And
we're flying the drone. Was I flying the drone?
You were flying the drone.
Always flying the drone. If I'm meeting a new friend, I'm flying the drone.
He was flying the drone, which was sick. He got sick photos and video of me wake surfing. I think I actually posted it on my Instagram.
Yeah, I made you a video.
Yeah, it was
made him a mashup. I just met him. Hey, you might as well take a mashup.
Everyone loves content.
Yeah.
Like everyone loves. I don't care what you say. Like you get a drone, like it's dope. Like people love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like so we did that, and then I think was that like Q2, and then I think it was Q3 that summer. Right. You were like, "Hey, bro, like I'm working on something. Maybe it's gonna work out. Maybe it's not." And
yeah, I mean,
wait, what year is this?
2020.
Okay, 2020. Okay.
Yeah, it was 2020.
2020, we met on the wake surf boat, and then like 3 or 4 months later. Right.
I'll actually, like, I know people say that, like, I won't forget that call. He literally texted me. I'm like sitting like at my mom's like house, and I'm just like fucking around on the computer. And he's like, "Hey, bro, by the way, I have this client, like he wants to do a big rental. Like, what's the deal?" And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I got this. Like, no problem. Like, biggest rental of my career at the time."
How much was it?
We ended up doing it at 77,
77.5.
77.5, and that was like the biggest rental I've ever done. Like
$77,000 a month.
It was insane. So he called me, and I was in the Hamptons, and he's like, "Hey, like we're gonna do this rental," and I'm like, "Great." He was like, "Put me on the phone with the client." I'm like, "Great." I was in my friend's backyard. He's actually getting married in 2 months. Shout out Alex, the best man at the wedding. But I was in his backyard, and I get the phone call, and I remember what I said, and all of a sudden he's like, "Great." Oh, sounds like a Ryan Serhant story. "Let's go down to Miami on Tuesday." I'm like, "Great, I'll book a flight." He's like, "No, you'll come on the plane with me." I'm like, "Really? Let's go."
Right. And so, by the way, this is a picture right here of Scotty and I about to board the jet. This is a picture of us. We're about to board the jet, and that's when our lives, I think, were really going to change for the better from there.
Yeah.
So we get on the jet. We take off down to Miami. We land in Miami, and it's a full extravaganza. So Scotty and I have been coordinating to set up a bunch of appointments to maximize the efficiency and the use of our clients' time. So what happens?
Yeah. Truthfully, we went to one penthouse, like the biggest penthouse in Miami.
With a pool on the roof.
With a pool on the roof. And it was
up.
a total, I don't know if I can curse, it was a total shit show. Like the blind, it just was not a good viewing experience. And like, but also I think the client realized he didn't want to be in an apartment at the time.
Can you actually elaborate on that? What made it not a good showing?
I don't mind, like I'll take the reins of something. I'll take control of a situation, but in this certain building, you can't. You have to have like the showing agent and the landlord's agent, whatever. All the blinds were down. None of the lights were on. Like there was just no, there was no like.
It was like $100,000 a month.
Yeah,
and like we're like walking around and we're like,
what's going on here? Yeah.
Like, the place was beautiful, but you couldn't tell that because all the blinds were closed and you're facing it just didn't work.
Okay, got it. I just wanted to understand. Yeah.
And that's part of the process because the client initially wanted to be in a condo, and we understand the differences between being in a condo where you're restricted, right, by like the time the hot tub is open.
That was a huge deal.
And that was part of it. It's like, hey, man, you know, if you want to go in the hot tub at 10 o'clock at night, this condo might not have that hot tub open.
No, so we did that. I think we landed at like 5, got there at 6, 86 that place, like immediately, basically. Where did we go after that? We did like a bunch of random, we finalized after that. It was like, okay, let's look at houses.
Okay.
And then we went to like 4 or 5 houses. And then nothing really worked. And
went up to see Dwayne Wade's house, played some basketball on his court.
Yeah, that was sick.
Like everyone, the showing agent's like, excuse me, we're gonna go this way. We're like, yeah, that's cool. Over here playing basketball.
Switch.
Actually, we're like, you know, are you here for the showing or to play basketball? Like, lady, just breathe, okay?
Like the guy shooting threes, relax. Yeah. If he likes the house, he's going to take it.
If he likes the house, he's going to buy it, and maybe you too. So
everything is fine. Actually, I don't know if anyone knows this on the team, but we actually were in contract on a different house for like 48 hours.
Oh.
And this was in the height of COVID, basically.
Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck lived in that place after we had the deal, by the way.
It sold for 22, and then it sold recently for 28. But we are under contract. And I remember, I feel so bad. The guy like got COVID.
Wait, what guy?
The owner
of the other place where we almost took that one.
We were in contract for 48 hours for $100,000 a month.
Okay.
The guy like gets, I mean, there's other wild shit that happened in that 48 hours.
We
but,
also tried breaking in because our
like-
client's
I
like, we want to go back. We're like,
Dude, you,
well,
like,
there's no
hoisted-
access.
you, like, hoisted me up to the second
I'm like
floor.
pushing him up.
Yeah.
He's on my shoulders. We're trying to break in so we can get.
This is the start of your friendship.
And then we're
Yeah.
also like, the client's like, well, I want to use the pool. And so we're like, we jumped over the fence. We're in the pool testing it out.
This is
I'm
insane.
in the pool. I have videos of me like breaking and entering, diving in the
Yeah,
pool. Like,
it was nuts.
this pool could work.
It was.
I think this works.
It was
No
out of
shirt
control.
on, boxers.
And wait, hold on. What are you thinking like when you're meeting Niall? Like, are you thinking like
$100,000 a month, $100,000
Yeah.
a month, $100,000 a
you're
month.
like, he doesn't even
I'm like,
care?
Stay
I'm
focused.
like, I don't
think
care.
about anything
Yeah.
else.
I feel like
Literally.
he had designed the prize and you were like, let's play around.
I'm like videotaping it.
But
and there was-
it worked.
yeah,
It
I mean,
worked.
Having
Okay.
said that, this guy gets COVID or has COVID. I'm like, dude, I have a contract for $100,000 a month. He's like, I'm in the hospital on a vest. I'm like, what hospital? I'm coming right now. Sign this.
We were trying to get it.
He
that
couldn't.
deal.
He was
couldn't do
legit.
it.
Like I felt hard. This guy was literally in the hospital.
Dying.
Arrest, but, like,
And you're like,
literally-
please sign the contract.
We're like getting him to sign it.
I'm like, bro. Ends up, he's like, and then he tries playing around. He's like, oh, I got 110. I got 120. And we're like, dude, go
Come on.
away.
Client's like, all right,
Goodbye.
pal.
Like you had a shot. You didn't take it. He didn't end up renting it for 120, by the way. So
No.
Do you know how much he ended up renting it for?
who cares?
Doesn't matter. Guy
Who
lost
cares?
big time.
Yeah, he lost big
The
time.
fans want to know.
Having said that, we ended up finding another house, which was way better. And
It had a treehouse. That was the selling point.
It had a tree
Oh, that's kinda
house. It was west exposure, like we talked about
Double
at the beginning
line.
of the podcast, where Rick Ross is on the east.
Yeah.
Ugh. And then you know what's crazy is that we ended up actually reselling that house for dirt based on
Yeah.
Rick Ross paid for Star Island, which
Ah.
is crazy. So we actually have a
Wow.
higher price per foot on every aspect, dirt and property, because that house Rick Ross bought is 12 or 10,000 square feet,
Wow.
and ours was like 6,000. So we actually blew that. I think we have. I mean, we still might have
One of the records
one of
down
the
in
records.
South Florida.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Whether it's
Um,
frontage or
But we ended up renting the house. Miami's very different than New York. There's no attorneys in New York. Basically, as an agent,
no attorneys in Florida.
No,
There's
it's-
a-
excuse me.
so
excuse
the
me.
agent is responsible for drafting the contract. They're like,
Yeah.
all right, do it. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I have attorneys for this.
Yeah,
Scotty.
and then
Enter Scotty.
you get the contract, and you do Nile Lundgren, the landlord, you fill the contract out, which in this situation was fantastic because we had total control. So we were working till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, getting it done, not waiting for the attorney to wake up. Right?
That's amazing.
It's already done. Like 6 a.m. It was in everyone's inbox.
Yeah, it was done.
Wow.
So we're like,
Yeah.
no sleep.
Signed everything, like bank wire deposit, like everything. So we got that done.
So that was the start of your friendship.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did
The start of a very lucrative friendship later on.
from there, Scotty and I, we did the deal. It started October 1st, 2020. We threw a party that
Yeah.
weekend with a bunch of our friends to introduce him to Miami and the new client, and worked out very well. The client loved the party, loved the space, said, I think I want to buy this. I'm like, what are you talking about? We just rented it. Like, I don't, really?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I think I do. And I'm like, all right, let's just enjoy the night and see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I think we're going to buy this. Then like Scotty and I spent 1 million hours running comps and doing all the things. And, $18 million at the time was a lot of money down in
course it
Miami.
is.
It was
Yeah.
listed for that was when like the height of the bidding war in Miami was happening, where
Right.
like you just couldn't, like every New York finance hedge funder was coming in and be like, okay, you want 12, here's 13. Like, just give me the house. I got to get out of New York City. That's what was going on. The house was listed for like 16 million or something, like a
And he
few
bought it for
months
18
prior.
million.
We're like, okay, we'll give you 14, like all cash, no conditions, like close immediately, done, whatever. And all of a sudden there was like, oh, we have a $17.5 million offer on the table, or 17 or something. And I was like, calls me, I was in my apartment because it was COVID, so you couldn't do anything. And he goes, bro, 18, get it done. And just hangs up the phone.
So
Yeah.
classic
I had
Nile
a call.
London
I had
fashion.
a call with the client, and this is what I always say when I
Yeah.
coach people: is like, you think you're going to talk to the client for like 5 minutes and explain things, and I'm
Yep.
like, all right, so like we ran comps, and like this is what it is, and like I'm like going through my explanation, and the client's like, what's the bottom line? And I'm like, 18 million. You got to pay $18 million if you want the house. He's like, do it. I'm like, okay, Scotty, I got fucking $18 million. Get it done.
Dropped everything. I'm like,
Of course you did. Yeah.
Filled the contract out, got it signed, and I think
We signed it by him, and then we gave it to Krebs. And
Yeah, yeah.
Krebs went out to dinner. We're like, all right, go out to dinner, have a couple
Yeah.
glasses of wine with the
Yeah.
owner, give him a
Yeah.
nice steak, and then throw the contract
Yeah.
in front of him. And then that's where Krebs called me with the seller. And
Yeah.
the seller was like, hey, I like everything about your deal, but the only issue is that it says all art and furniture included. I have like a Shaquille O'Neal picture with me and Shaq. Like I want that picture. And then I was like, all right, cool. Like, let me see what I could do. I called my buyer. I'm like, hey, the guy wants the Shaq picture. He's like, give him the Shaq picture. I'm like, all right, cool. Gave him the Shaq picture. Oh, sorry, didn't give him the Shaq picture. Called him back up and said, Greg.
You can have it.
He's like, hey, what's up? And I said, look, pal, no Shaq picture. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, no Shaq picture.
It's like a personalized Shaq picture with his signature.
And I just punked him out real quick in a good way, because at the end of the day, what I said is that the buyer wanted to keep that picture up there to pay respect to him as the last owner who kept this house as like a really nice party house and all these beautiful like original details. We wanted to pay respect to him, and the owner was like, and the owner at the time was like, "Oh my God, I fucking love you guys."
And that's the God's honest truth.
It's true. We kept it up there. We're like, this is the fucking guy who owned this place before.
How did your buyer react when you said that it was going to stay?
Well, the buyer didn't know. He said give it to him. I just was messing with the seller.
I forgot about all the artwork in there.
Yeah, we sold it with all the retinas and the Alec Monopoly.
There was like an insane amount of artwork in this house.
Because Alec Monopoly lived in that house.
Yeah.
And Retina lived in that house.
Yeah.
Part of, see how this is?
wall.
Like part of the wall was Retina's specific alphabet. So I think, did he cut it out when he left? We might have, because we sold that house again, by the way. We sold it for $18 million, and then we sold it again for $34 million 14 months later, making our client $14 million in 14 months.
That is insane.
Miami.
What was that like for you guys?
I remember it was a Saturday morning. I was on the phone with my mom, and I get a text from the buyer, and he's like, "Hey,
now the seller."
The seller, excuse me.
Yeah, because he bought it for 18.
Yeah.
Couple months went by.
Right.
I remember I was on the phone with my mom. It was like a Saturday, like 11 o'clock in the morning. I was going wake surfing with Jake, actually. So I was like getting ready to leave the house, like my apartment, and get in my car and go wake surfing. And I'm like on the phone with my mom, and I look at my phone, and I'm like, whoa, why is he like, what's going on? Like, what's the fire? Like, what's wrong? And first of all, 11 a.m. And he's like, hey, what do you think about like renting a house in like the Key Biscayne or like Coral Gables? And I'm just like, holy shit.
You're like, what is about to happen?
Thinking he's just going to rent another property, right? Because he has the ability to do it. So like maybe he wants just something different, or his family or his kids, who knows, right? Whatever. And I'm like, great. I send him a house. Actually, the house that he rented was actually the first property that I sent. But I knew it was going to work because it just checked all the boxes and everything. I knew it was
such a unique property.
I'm not like the most religious person, but like God like was really just like here, like it was very good transaction.
On a platter. Because it was like the most exclusive place on all of Key Biscayne. It really the right out. Moment. Yeah. It just, it was like.
But going back to that, so he texts me, and then honestly, from after that text message, everything is like I really don't recall much until it was done. Like I swear,
this is how funny it was. I was up in New York. I was with Ryan. We looked at this penthouse together, and I said, Ryan, I'm going down to Miami tomorrow. Scotty and I are gonna get this listing down in Miami. You're probably gonna list it like 34, 35 million. He's like, great, yeah, keep me posted. I came back 6 days later. I called Ryan. I'm like, hey, Ryan. He's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, that deal's in contract. Yeah. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's in contract. He's like, are you going to put it on the market? What do you mean? You're putting it on the market, right? You signed the contract for the exclusive. I'm like, no, the deal is in contract at $34 million, all cash. He was like, what?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, buddy.
Yeah. We worked really fast, and we got that contract turned around. I mean, we made a pretty slick offer with the buyer on the patio, and then we put together the contract in how fast? I mean, like an hour.
I honestly think and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you guys were on the you guys were in the backyard and enjoying the $34 million sunset view. And we get the deal done, and I'm pretty sure I like go in my car, I like open my computer, I like tether my computer to my phone and like do the contract like in the car in the driveway, like get it done.
Well,
boom.
yeah.
Like I already know what the seller his points because we worked with him already. So like, I knew what he was expecting and what he wanted and how like, not that there's a lot to change in a Florida contract, but like I knew how we wanted it to get done. So we filled it out and it was signed. But it was like, it was insane.
That's what happens sometimes. I mean, when you do all the right things and you put yourself in the right place, like what we did, these opportunities arise. And I flew down to Miami. Scotty and I worked every single day for 6-7 days, and we got it done. We didn't really sleep much. We didn't really think too much about like everything else that was going on. And as a result, we broke one of the biggest sales deals at the time in South Florida, which is pretty incredible. So hats off to you. And that's
hats off to you. Yeah,
it's been a great ride down there. We have a lot more beautiful things coming to market. We can't really talk about it right now, but and it's just been a really great experience. And Scotty and I, by the way, we're not working together at that time, but now Scotty is at Serhant. He's my partner down in Florida, and he is running everything down there. So Scotty just came over to Serhant recently. So why don't you just give a couple words and like seeing what has changed in your career and everything like that, because I think it's very important for people to hear and see.
I worked at a big shop. I worked at a little shop. I grew up in a real estate family, so I'm kind of this is my entire this is all that I know.
Right.
Like literally, this is all that I understand how to really do outside of like wake surfing and boating. But that's like enjoyment.
Wake surfing, boating, and real estate.
Serhant is probably. It's not probably, it is, I think, the best real estate brokerage I've ever seen, heard, and lucky to be a part of, to be honest with you. Like, obviously, if you're in real estate, you understand, the broker has to get paid and they pay you and like all these things. And you can go to, a majors like Compass or Element, or you can go to a boutique place like, I don't know, one of the ones here, whatever. This is the sickest place I've ever like seen, from the technology to the family that like it has. Like it's I've never seen anything like this before, honestly. Like the technology alone, it is bonkers. I can't even describe it truthfully, because it's so unbelievable what this guy is building, and I'm just so lucky to be a part of it. Like I mean, I don't really, I'm speechless about it, and I'm just lucky to be a part of it.
And this is also coming from someone, like you said, you grew up in the real estate industry.
Right.
Real estate's everything you know what like a quality brokerage is like.
Yeah, I'd like to say so. I mean, I worked at Douglas Elliman for 6 years. It was great. I started my career there. It was unbelievable. I transitioned out of there. I bounced around here. I bounced around there. And the timing was unbelievable. Obviously, I've wanted to work with Nile. The presence in South Florida wasn't as big yet. Ryan's been licensed there for a while.
Yeah.
And then at the turn of the year, it was just like, all right, like let's stop playing games. Like let's do it. And I'll be here for the rest of my career.
Yeah, I mean,
without a doubt.
That's
like,
fucking incredible
without a doubt.
to hear. And and it's good to hear from somebody who's like experienced the catapult to the ascension, if you will. And my question to you is like, as you're ascending and as you're doing those things, you're getting into new things, right? So you just did a property tour, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to do it. And then like you sent it to me and I was completely blown away. Like, tell me just a little bit about that aspect. Because before, Scott was working at Element or whatever company he was working for, and he'd post the listing on the MLS, and yay, maybe somebody called them. But now we're making property tour videos. What is that like?
I'll tell you exactly, and I'll make this very quick and easy. I take a property tour of this exclusive for this penthouse that we have for rent right now.
What's the rent price?
$40,000 a month.
$40,000 a month in Miami, by the way.
Fully furnished, top of the line, duplex, 20-foot ceilings, custom movie theater. It's the unit.
Penthouse.
It's the unit to be at, right? Penthouse. Having said that, I take the property tour. First of all, shout out Carlos, unbelievable guy, amazing. We do the property tour. He edits it. He gets it done. I'm being all annoying. He's like, dude, it takes 5 days. I'm like, bro, I want to see the video. Because I'm nervous. I never really been on camera like that before. I never had the opportunity, to be honest with you. There was ever no one at any place I've worked was like, hey, let's do this. Here this is. Like, let's push you, right? I never really had that. It was all my own stuff. I get the video back. I'm like, holy shit. I take the video. I work out Sunday. I get it on Saturday, right? I go, I work out, got to plug the workout. I go, the guy who owns it actually has he's got a very nice sized boat on the Miami River. And I'm like, oh, I know he's going out on his boat at 2:00. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. I walk over. I'm like, here, let's airplay it. So he pulls the TV up. I airplay it.
Boss.
This guy goes, this is the best produced video I have ever seen in my life.
Yep.
On God, that's exactly what he said.
Wow.
And this is not just like, a first time like real estate buyer. Like this guy is a national multifamily owner, is in a real estate family, very recognizable name, huge client, like one of my best clients, lucky to call him a friend.
Wow.
I mean, first of all, he showed it on his yacht. I went home and went to work. He showed it on his yacht the entire day, put it on loop in the salon of the yacht. It's just me touring his property because
sick.
the production was so crazy. He's still calling me a week or 2 weeks later. His parents are huge real estate owners. Like, this is the best property video we've ever seen. And like, did I do a great job? Absolutely.
He crushed it, by the way.
Did Serhant Productions knock this out of the park?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
But it was also like, why did you get some of those shots? I mean, it wasn't just like a middle of the day Miami shoot.
Well,
like, you were thoughtful about it.
I learned that from you. You know, I mean, I've learned a lot of things, truthfully, from you. I'll start at just emailing people, and formatting emails, because that's a huge impact on my life, right? Of how you do that. But then also just, being around you and listening to you and here, because you're on camera, you've had the ability to be on camera for years now, right? In different aspects and stuff. Yep. And I just absorbed that knowledge and I was like, okay, here's my time to shine. I have a sick listing. Mm-hmm. Like, let me blow it out of the water. Mm-hmm. And 5 hours of filming later, it came out, Twilight
shot.
I was like, listen, if I was Ryan Serhant and this was my apartment, if I was Nile Lundgren and I was shooting this, what would I want it to look like? And Serhant Studios did that.
But you gave it to him. You said, look, I want to have it at Twilight,
Yep.
So Scott didn't, like, this is I think the biggest problem that most people have when they get involved with like Serhant Studios for the first time is they're like, oh, that guy's who's videotaping is going to tell me what to do. But if you do that, you're probably going to set yourself up for a pretty average tour because they're just doing the tours and it's up to you as the agent and the talent to communicate what style you want. If I show up and somebody from studios doesn't have a drone and my lead is a drone shot, let's start it over then.
Yep.
Let's come back tomorrow because I want that to be there. So Scotty, from what I could see, he did it later in that night. So it was during sunset. So the sky was insane. The building is all glass. You started it from a drone with the lavalier on your mic. So you're like distance the drone. There's actually a link to this in the bio of the YouTube description. So click the link, watch the video for yourself. Please hit the comments and tell us what you think or how good Scotty did, by the way. And there was everything. You had, the slippers. You were just chilling. You're on the jacuzzi. You're just laying down like, I'm in
the movie theater. And look, I mean, like you just said, like it's up to the agent to really get it. Like, if I'm going to a thing and there's no drone, like that's it. Scratch it, onto the next.
No drone. I'm sorry, bro. Did you show up with no drone?
But that's just like the testament to revert back to the original conversation we just had about being at Serhant. Like, that's what this place offers you. Like they are like this quality of production. I mean, just and that goes from the agent video tours to the emailing and outreach to the different servers and systems in place and everything. And like, if you align yourself with this, I mean, you're poised to win. Like, you can't not excel at. Like, if you don't excel at this brokerage, then like it's on you, honestly.
Yeah.
Like this guy is giving you the tools to become the best agent possible.
And it's up to you to absorb them and run with them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, why are you not doing something at Twilight when the sun is setting and Miami's beautiful? And this is like, why would you not do that? Like, if you're not thinking like that, then like,
that's on you.
It's on you,
man.
It's on you. If you look at a broad cross section of all Miami listings, they're shot at noon in the middle of the day when it's hot and it's bright. But the Twilight, that's just so impactful because the building is glass and you see it and like the clouds, the purple, all reflecting on the glass while he's standing there. I mean, just the image that I have is it's like it won't go away. And that's what you want to recreate is have that mental vision before you even go into shooting it so that you could schedule the drone, the time of day, all of that. You want to walk the property, ask the owner, what time of the day does it get best light? What time of day and where in the apartment is it best for the sunset, for the sunrise? Because you have to ask those questions. You're not the expert on every little thing. You're not sitting in the place for 24 hours and looking at where the light is. Just ask, and then say, okay, based on all these data points and my 1 time or 2 times in the apartment, this is what I feel would be best. Let me communicate this with my production or with the videographer that's coming. And then you have a collaboration so that it actually shows that you put some thought into it. And I think that's exactly what you did and you knocked it out of the park.
Thank you very much. And just to give you kudos again, like you between teaching the marketing and on camera and all this stuff, like once I sent you that video, like the rough draft, you're like, dude, now you have this forever. Like not only is my client that owns the property like gonna want to, hopefully use me for any real estate he has in Florida, or if it's in New York, I'm gonna give it to you guys, obviously. But now, like, he can show that to his friends. Like, oh, look at he can show off, basically. Look what my agent did.
It becomes a case study.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, oh, I get another client. Like, I have a meeting when I go back to Miami on Wednesday. And it's like, here, you want to see? Actually, I just did it for a lower level listing for like 800. Like, I think it's going to be like 800 grand, which is great, obviously. But over text message, I happen to have sort of a relationship with a guy, and I'm like, hey, here the way. This is what I did for a $40,000 a month listing. Go check this out. And he's like, okay, send me the paperwork, exclusive, done. Yeah. Like, over text message, like getting on the plane, like no big deal, And that's like,
because you're a pro. You're a pro.
I'm aligned with the best brokerage probably in the business. So
but you're also a pro and a total savage.
I work hard.
Yes, you do. This guy, by the way, he doesn't breathe air. He just breathes real estate. Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, real estate? I'm like, it's 1 a.m.
It's like that's it. Like wake surfing and real estate, like literally.
Wait, there was one more. Wake surfing, real estate.
Boating.
Boating.
Yeah, can't forget about
water sports, boats, and then real estate, everything else.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's it.
Scott, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, man. I want to do more of these for sure.
This is another advantage, not just property tours, but video assets and podcasts. And this is the type of stuff that we like to do as a team to collaborate. Yep. And I think this has been a super helpful episode for people to know in New York City about South Florida, to learn about Scott Porter. We are fully functional in South Florida with Scott as our team lead down there. He's running the show. So we are looking to expand with more listings. Yes. Okay. We're also looking to expand with more agents. Yes. You got to be qualified, of course, but we have a lot going on down there. But please do reach out to us. And thank you so much. Hit that like button. Please fill out the comments. We would love to keep continuing to engage with you, and mash that notification bell, because if you don't, Scotty Porter, Samantha Germano are going to be very upset. So thank you. This is the Broker That Never Sleeps podcast. We will see you next
week.
Peace.